Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. So can you quickly write down in the chat box that you are able to see the screen and you are able to listen to me? All of you, please. Please write down yes in the chat box if you're able to listen to me and if you're able to see the screen. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Okay, so as I begin this session, there are certain things that you should know that you will be able to do towards the end of the session. Okay, I will cover types of questions that can be asked in the speaking part 3. Then we are going to look at a full speaking part 3 test. Okay, it's a live recording of a candidate speaking, and the examiner would be asking the question. Okay, it will make you all acquainted with how it is going to be with you in the exam, right? And then there would be feedback on part 3, right? The test which student is giving, uh, we will give the feedback on that also. Rather, there would be a special examiner. There's a recording of the video. You would get to look at it, and then you will understand how you have to speak and how you do not have to speak, right? And towards the end, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks, right? And the language rather that you should use in part 3. Okay, so these are certain points that we are going to cover, right? Guys, as you know, how I start, my students, they know me. IELTS speaking part 3. I want to know what is your idea about speaking part 3. What do you think is speaking part 3? I would just want to see how much you all know. Come on, guys. I want you all to write down in the chat box that um, what do you understand by speaking part 3? What exactly happens in that? Okay. I'm getting answers from Harsh Dhillon. Discussion questions regarding Q card. Okay. It is a discussion part. Abstract topics are discussed. Examiner asks questions related to Q card. Okay. Detailed explanation in 5 to 6 line answers. Okay. Okay. Questions related to part 2. Speaking for at least 1 to 2 minutes in a given topic, on a given topic. Arjun, that is Q card. That is part 2. Okay. Follow up for part 2. Right. Guys, so yes, I got a lot of answers and almost all of them are correct. So speaking part 3 is based on Q card. That is part 2, right? If you haven't really watched that YouTube live till now, please feel free to refer to that. I've already covered that and I have talked about a different way of making notes, which has been a real hit. Okay. Uh, and please feel free to refer to that. But yes, today I'm going to continue with part 3. Part 3 is based on part 2, which is a Q card task, and in part 3 it's a general discussion. Okay, and in part 3 questions are based on part 2, right? But do not worry, this is a lot of theory, and I do not want you all to be really bothered with that because I'm going to cover everything in detail. Okay, so let's move on with this. Okay, as I was saying, what kind of questions do you get in part 3 and what does an examiner expect, right? Because I do not really like to think with the mind of a teacher. I like to think with the mind of a student, right? First thing first, what is my syllabus, right? What will I be asked? What will they ask me, right? What do I have to prepare for even, right? So, yes. The reason they have part 3 in IELTS speaking is that you can show your range and control of language, right? Because this is a speaking test. So they want to figure out how much range you have and how much control you have over the language, right? So generally speaking, right, what exactly is part 3? What kind of questions will you get? In this part, you need to give your opinion. Okay, they want to know about your opinion, right? So exactly saying, interviewer wants to know what you think, right? Your thinking process. Okay, now what you have to do is just justify opinions. Okay, you will be asked to analyze and discuss ideas. You will be asked to speculate about issues. These are the three uh, kind of questions that you can get, right? Justify opinions. You might be asked to analyze and discuss issues. You might be asked to speculate about issues, right? Guys, just speaking, what do we understand by um speculate about issues? What do we mean by speculation or speculate? Can you write down in the chat box, please? What do we exactly mean by speculate? Okay, okay. Probable explanation. Okay, giving the solutions. Assume. Okay. Mm-hmm. Predict the future. Think or assumption. Okay, so speculate means you will be asked to predict. Okay, it's not something that is for real, but something that you think can happen or will happen, or your idea about what is going to happen in future. So these kind of three broad range of questions would be asked, okay, based on these 3 points: justify opinions, analyze and discuss issues, speculate about issues. These three things. Now yes, this is the, what we can say, this is the theme, right? Now let me take you to the exact questions from the exam, right? Let's look at this. How has the size of a family changed in recent decades in your country? First kind. Then we have uh, this this questions, it asks you to analyze difference between the past and the present, right? Look at this. This question is asking you to analyze how has the size of a family changed in recent decades in your country. Guys, if you will be asked to give the answer of this question, how will you do that? I mean, I want to see how you can analyze. Let's look at it before we dive into the actual exam. Come on, guys. I want you to write down in the chat box, how has the size of a family changed in recent decades in your country? Okay, joint versus nuclear family. Okay, joint versus nuclear family. Okay, I want some answers. I want some proper answers. How has the size of a family changed in the recent decades in your country? Okay, how would you be able to talk about it? Can you write down in the chat box? Okay, getting a lot of answers. Being shorter than the past. You can compare current family size with joint family. Okay, joint family converted to nuclear families comparatively. Okay, but guys, okay, yes, I am getting an answer now, a complete answer. Earlier in Indian joint families, earlier in India, joint families were quite prevalent. Then it gradually shifted to nuclear families where parents and their children live together. Now even children shift out of hometown. The size of family has dwindled and shifted. Okay, The size of a family is a rather personal choice. Earlier, people have always lived in joint families, but that has started to change now because a lot of people prefer a nuclear family now. Guys, after getting the answers from all of you, one thing is pretty clear, that you all know what you have to speak, but you do not know how much you have to speak, right? So we have to figure it out, right? How many sentences we have to use to answer the questions in part 3. Anyway, we are going to look into that, right? So there can be another kind of question also. How do you think the family will change in future? Now, the family will change in future. This question is asking you to speculate. This question is asking you to predict what you think will happen in future. Okay. In recent decades, families become nuclear. The reason may be busy schedule and jobs. However, in some areas, still there are joint families. Okay. Now, see, last one, look at this. Who do you think should be responsible for the care of the elderly? Family or government? Here you will have to justify your opinions. So, talking broadly, right, these three things would be there. Okay, you would be asked to justify your opinions, you would be asked to analyze and discuss issues, you would be asked to speculate about issues. Do not worry, we are still towards the beginning. I haven't really taught anything till now. I was just checking how much we all know, right? So yes, but we have covered the question types. What all questions can we get in speaking part 3? Okay, now what I'm going to do is, guys, I want you all to sit down, okay? And I know most of you must be already seated. It's not that you must be walking and jumping here and there and attending this YouTube live. I want all of you to be very attentive, right? Wear your earphones, okay? We are going to look at a complete part 3 as they conduct it in an examination center, okay? I have a video. I'm going to play a video, okay? So are we ready to watch this video so we know how exactly it happens in this speaking part 3? Are we ready? Are we ready, guys? Can I play the video? Okay. Mm-hmm. I got only 2 yeses. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Oh, so many yeses. Good, good. So, guys, obviously, when I said that I'm going to play a video, so obviously it is going to be from part 3, right? But we should know what the question of part 2 was. So if you have watched my previous YouTube live on speaking part 2, then I have covered about how you tackle the speaking part 2, right? But you will see in this speaking part 3 video that I'm going to play now that the questions are based on this cue card. Okay, as I said towards the beginning, that speaking part 3 is based on speaking part 2. So part 2 is a cue card task, right? Now I'm going to play a video which has questions based on part 2. Okay, let's do it, guys.
We've been talking about someone you know who takes good photos, and now I'd like to ask you one or two more general questions related to this. Let's consider, first of all, photos in general. Do you think people today take more photos than they used to?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think in the old times when the film is really was really expensive. Like you only have, I think I remember that it was 36 frames, and you have to take it to the shop and let them bring it out for you, something like that. And but now they use the digital cameras. They can take thousands of pictures without. They just need one. External disk for the photos. So I think they just carelessly take as many photos as possible. And I think the biggest problem is they take so many photos without even look at the beautiful landscape or scenario with their own eyes. Yeah.
Do you think the quality of photos has improved over time or the opposite?
I think it's improved together with the cutting edge technology. Yeah, because we have the cameras that can capture every movement of every organism on Earth and even outer space. Yeah.
Do you think people should take lessons to learn how to take professional photos?
I think when you want to take professional photo course, then you should really consider if you really devoted for that course, because it's not as a hobby class or something. It's a professional, so you have to have bigger motivation and give yourself.
Like what sorts of motivation should people have to take professional courses?
I think like they should have they should pursue some some interest, like they like to, some people they like to take picture of nature, some people like take picture of people out on the street, some styles like that, and they should have a clear goals before they enroll in that course.
Now let's consider media and photography. What are some of the differences between a written news story and a news story with photos?
I think a news story with photos has a more powerful effect, because when you look at the photo, you can be when you look at the photo, then the image comes right at you when as soon as you look at it. But with a written news article, then you just read the news and everything in that happen. You can only imagine it. You don't have any specific image to look at. Yeah, so I think a news article with photos is more accurate.
Is it a positive development that news stations ask people to send in their own photos of a news event as they are happening?
I think it's really interesting because nowadays, with the advance of technology, then everyone with a smartphone and internet connection can broadcasting their own news. And if some events are happening, and they can send it or live stream it directly to some broadcast station, and they can become some type of journalist themselves. And I think it's important because it shows that the public, together with the broadcast station, they are working together to deliver a news that are happening at that moment, right at that moment. And it's real because it's come from a real person, not from some journalist. People might say that it has been edited if some journalist shows a news, but if one real person live stream some event, and they might say that it's a true story. Yeah.
Has journalism changed since photos can be sent immediately from one side of the world to the other within minutes?
I think it has changed a lot, because when some events happen in some far away countries, and you have internet connection and you can access it, so you can upload it right away at that moment, and it could be important to inform to all people around the world what's happening right at that moment. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking test.
Okay, guys. So what do you think about the video on speaking part 3, the live test, or rather a recorded live test? Uh, what do you think about this, guys? What have you learned after watching this video? I want you to write down in the chat box what exactly have you learned. What was your idea about part 3? Has anything changed? Okay. Guys, let's leave giving the band to me. You do not try to give the band, please. Okay. Uh, let's focus here, right? Okay. She used compared and contrasting ideas. Okay. And general statement of ours, giving answers with examples. Okay. Uh, they ask a lot of questions. Okay. Guys, anything else? Her speech seems unclear, not able to convey the points clearly. Yes, at times it was there. What else did you observe about yourself? Do you think we had the right idea about how part 3 is going to be, or we learned something new? Okay, we got vocabulary and examples and ideas. Okay, yes, we learned that we do not have to stop at one sentence. Okay, she kept continuing till explaining ideas. Okay, proper discussion, details were there. Okay, guys, before I showed this video to all of you, I asked you to answer a question of part 3. Okay, I asked a one question and I asked you how you can answer this question. Guys, what do you think was the length of her answers? What was the length? How many sentences did she use to answer one question? Guys, what was the length? I want to know about the length. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yes. So, guys, when I talk about sentences, I mean, if a candidate is combining sentences with and or conjunctions, I mean, you can count that as one sentence, but rather it is a combination of two sentences. Okay. So, yes, more than 5 sentences were used to answer one question. So this is what we have to take care of while we are giving answers in speaking part 3. We have to elaborate our answers. Okay, so yes, 5 plus sentences or 4 plus sentences with proper elaboration would do. Okay, do not do the same thing in part 1. Okay, part 1 is different. We do not have to really elaborate our answers too much in part 1. Okay, now guys, did you notice that there were some counter questions also? Once examiner asked a question, there were some more questions on that when the examiner, when the candidate answered it. Did you notice that? Some counter questions. Okay, yes. So guys, be prepared that they are going to ask some counter questions also. Cool. She elaborated each sentence. Okay, cool. Guys, now I saw uh, so these are the two things that we have to take care of. You have to elaborate your answers. I think you should try to elaborate your answers, like speaking 5 plus sentences, or if you're using complex sentences, then you should elaborate, and it should be somewhere around, I believe, 40 seconds or 45 seconds. Yeah. And yes, be prepared for the counter questions. Now I noticed,
We've been talking.
I noticed that certain students were trying to figure out what band she was at. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to play one more video again. In this video, the same candidate, she will answer the question, okay, and examiner would give the feedback. Okay, examiner would give the feedback so that you all know how you will be evaluated, what you have to do. You will have something to compare yourself with. Okay, are we ready, guys? Should I hit the play button? Okay, great.
Watch these answers to Part 3 questions from the speaking test, then listen to the feedback after each one.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think in the old times when the film is really was really expensive, like you only have, I think I remember that it was 36 frames, and you have to take it to the shop and let them bring it out for you, something like that. And but now they use the digital cameras. They can take thousands of pictures without. They just need one external disk for the photos. So I think they just carelessly take as many photos as possible. And I think the biggest problem is they take so many photos without even look at the beautiful landscape or scenario with their own eyes. Yeah.
This is an effective answer explaining that film was expensive in the past and you could only take a limited number of photos, although she says frames. She uses the phrasal verb print out well as a substitute for the correct collocation of develop. There are one or two inappropriate choices of vocabulary, such as scenario rather than scenery, limited use of linking words, and mispronunciation of some words, but only one or two that reduce clarity.
I think it's improved together with the cutting edge technology. Yeah, because we have the cameras that can capture every movement of every organism on Earth and even outer space. Yeah.
The use of an advanced level adjective like cutting edge is good, but this answer doesn't really answer the question sufficiently. As the question asks, or the opposite, it's not just asking about technical improvements. It would have been good to build on the earlier answer that people take photos carelessly now. So overall, this answer is underdeveloped.
I think when you want to take professional photo course, then you should really consider if you really devoted for that course, because it's not as a hobby class or something. It's a professional, so you have to have bigger motivation.
It seems here that she has not understood the question correctly. The answer she gives would be difficult to follow and would require an interlocutor to clarify meaning.
I think a news story with photos has a more powerful effect, because when you look at the photo, you can be when you look at the photo, then the image comes right at you as soon as you look at it. But with a written news article, then you just read the news and everything in that happened. You can only imagine it. You don't have any specific image to look at. Yeah, so I think a news article with photos is more accurate.
This is a reasonably good answer, although with limited use of descriptive language. The adjectives used, powerful and accurate, are good choices, but she could have gone further in comparing the differences.
I think it's really interesting because nowadays, with the advance of technology, then everyone with a smartphone and internet connection can broadcasting their own news. And if some events are happening, and they can send it or live stream it directly to some broadcast station, and they can become some type of journalist themselves. And I think it's important because it shows that the public, together with the broadcast station, they are working together to deliver a news that are happening at that moment, right at that moment. And it's real because it's come from a real person, not from some journalist. People might say that it has been edited. if some journalists shows a news, but if one real person live stream some event, and they might say that it's a true story. Yeah.
This answer is well developed. She offers several opinions and backs them up with appropriate reasons. There's good usage of language of speculation, for example, people might say that this has been edited, and good use of some topic-specific appropriate vocabulary, such as smartphone, internet connection, broadcast, and live stream. Overall, for fluency and coherence, she speaks confidently at length with only occasional loss of coherence and uses a range of discourse markers. For lexical resource, she uses a range of vocabulary flexibly to discuss the topics and uses some less common vocabulary with an awareness of collocation, despite some inappropriate choices. Grammatically, she uses a mix of simple and complex structures, although with limited flexibility and some mistakes, although these rarely cause comprehension problems. In pronunciation, she can generally be understood throughout, although mispronunciation of some individual words reduces clarity at times.
Okay, guys. So, how was the video? What do you think were the good points which examiner said? What do you think we have learned? What do you think we should do? What do you think we should not do while we are in speaking part 3? After listening to the feedback of the examiner from British Council, what do you think, guys? What have we learned? I want you to write down in the comment section. I want to know your views, what we have understood from this, what we should do, what we should not do. Okay. She did not understand some questions. Okay, yes, there was a question that she did not understand. We have to think before speaking. Stay calm. Yeah, that's the thing for everything in life. Understand the question that is asked. Okay. Okay, she was hesitating while speaking, repetitive words at some places. Shouldn't deviate from questions. Yes. She was out of yeah, she was out of track sometime. Should understand the questions properly and answer them with appropriate usage of vocabulary. Yes, Gayatri, good. Use of collocations, answer appropriately after understanding the question correctly. Yes. Understanding the question is a very important part. Do not go off track. Lavanya is saying should not take pause often and should be clear about pronunciation. Yes, her some words, separate words were not pronounced correctly. Yes, definitely she is not a band 9 based on this, which you all were discussing, right? But let's not go there, yeah, because for band 9 we need to evaluate all the 3 parts, yeah, to give a band. Should not take pause often and should be clear about pronunciation. Cool. Give proper examples and reasons for answers. uh, Forever we always should be confident with our opinion. We should be descriptive enough, and detailing or giving examples is always a plus. You should be expressive enough. Never confuse in your own opinion. Cool, guys. So as I see it, that some answers given by her were underdeveloped. Okay, we have to develop the answers. I'm going to give you tips and tricks, right? I haven't really given you any tips and tricks when it comes to speaking. That's the next and last step. Okay, as you pointed out, she did not understand the question many times. uh, I guess it was twice, right? Comparing is very important, right? I'll give you the language also, how you can compare. Okay, and one thing that we have to take care of is we need opinions, okay, with well backed reasons. Okay, we need supporting answers, supporting reasons rather. Wait for a while before answering and you understand question. Cool, guys. That's it. That was the idea, right? So there are certain things that we are able to do by now, or we should be able to do by now, is that we know what are the question types of speaking part 3. Okay, and then we saw a live test. and then we saw certain things we should take care of, right, while we are answering the questions in speaking part 3. Now comes the time for me to give you some tips and tricks for this useful language. Now comes the time, right? Okay, let me give you some useful language for part 3. As you saw, the candidate was also comparing and contrasting, right? So you said that yes, we have to use comparisons, we have to use contrasting ideas also. So what is the language that we need for that? Okay, guys, I hope you all are taking the screenshots also. I want you to use these words in your daily life also, so that you're able to use it naturally in the class, right? So you can say on the one hand, on the other hand, right? This is a common way of comparing things, right? On the one hand, people think that we should do this. On the other hand, people think that we should not do this, right? We can use in contrast to, right? If we want to compare something from the past now to the present, so we can say back then the scenario was this, whereas nowadays scenario is this, right? Exactly the same as. Look at this, how they have framed the sentences. I want you to see how we frame the sentences. On the one hand, I think it's harder for younger people to find work these days, but on the other hand, they also have a wider range of opportunities than my generation, right? So these two are again contrasting ideas, right? It's harder to find, yeah, a work for younger people, and they have wider range of opportunities. So they are opposite ideas, they are contrasting ideas, right? Then we have this, my parents, in contrast to my grandparents, lived all their lives in a big city, right? So grandparents, they did not live their life in a big city. This is what this sentence is trying to say. So you can incorporate this vocabulary in your way of speaking. I discussed about back then and whereas nowadays. Back then it just wasn't possible to travel abroad, whereas nowadays it feels like you can fly anywhere in a few hours, right? Look at this last one. As far as I am concerned, using a card is exactly the same as using cash. So you are comparing two things. Okay. So this is the vocabulary that you can use to compare and contrast. Right. Now, I'm not saying you have to master every kind of vocabulary to get 9 band at speaking. It's just that you know just enough. You have to know just enough, right? These would do. Okay. Can we ask to repeat the question? Okay, guys. So what generally happens is that if you do not understand the question, so examiner is going to uh, paraphrase the question. Okay, say the same question in a different way. Okay, you might ask it once or twice, but do not overdo it. Okay, because then it would uh, give a message that you are not good at listening. Okay, so yes, do not overdo it. Maybe once or twice, if it happens naturally, then you can ask, examiner will paraphrase the question and give it to you. Okay. Now let's move on to the second kind of language that we can use. As I was saying, that we can speculate and predict also, right? Yes, saying it is easy, but then what kind of language we can use? It might be the case that I would imagine that, I suppose it could be, it's extremely unlikely that use this kind of language in part 3. Okay, look at this. It might be the case that people stop using cars in the future, but I think it is a long time away. So you are trying to speculate, you're going to you're trying to say that something can happen in future. So that is what predicting is. I would imagine that the impact of tourism is quite significant in all of those areas you mentioned. Okay. So here uh, here we are not very sure about this thing. We are trying to predict, okay, that this might be the case. Now look at this second last one. I suppose it could be a problem if this kind of trend continues. Right. Now what exactly happened here? I suppose it could be a problem. You are not sure, you're trying to predict. I suppose it could be the issue. Right. You're not very sure about it. You're trying to predict. Then the last one we have, it's extremely unlikely that we will ever have a situation like that. I think, right. So again, we are not very sure about this, right? We are just saying that it's extremely unlikely, extremely unlikely. You're not sure. If you are sure, you will say it in this way. Uh, I think situation of this kind will not happen ever. And I'm sure about it. Right. So if you say it's extremely unlikely, it simply means that you are trying to again uh, predict. You're not sure. Okay. Guys, do you like this vocabulary that I give for comparing and contrasting and speculating and predicting? Do you think, guys, we can inculcate these two uh, parts, broader parts, this vocabulary in our IELTS speaking part 3? Okay. It's helpful. Thank you, Vadana. Okay. Now, the third kind of vocabulary that comes is analyzing. Okay, analyzing. How we can analyze, right? And you have to do it this in speaking part 3. Some ways are written here. The first thing I would say is that it's not a straightforward. Let's take as an example. Now, let's dive into complete examples here. The first thing I would say is that I have seen the weather in my country change in recent years, right? It's not a straightforward situation, so I feel only an expert can be sure about the impact climate change has on our everyday life. So you're trying to analyze it. Okay, you are not coming to the conclusion, you are trying to analyze it. Right. Look at this now. Let's take a university student as an example. I think they should spend more time doing practical studies. Right. We are just analyzing it. We are not going to the result. We are not coming to the conclusion. So this is the language that you can use to analyze. Right. Now, obviously, I told you towards the beginning that you will be asked to give your opinion also. So most of the students, they struggle. See, the reason here why I am giving you this language is that students, they struggle that, sir, how to start, how to give the answer, Mohammed, how should we do that? Right, we struggle with starting the answer. Okay, so that is the reason I'm giving you this vocabulary, so you have that start with you. Okay, whenever you want to compare or contrast, you can use this vocabulary. Okay, whenever you want to speculate or predict, you can use this vocabulary. Right, whenever you want to analyze, you can give this vocabulary. Right, now whenever you want to give your opinion, you can use this vocabulary. What are certain ways? As far as I am concerned, I really do believe that. I am afraid I don't agree at all that. Now, I'm not saying these are the only ways to give your opinion or speculate, but there's just some of them for you so that you don't have to go here and there. They are there. If you can use them naturally, yes, you're welcome to use that. Look at this. As far as I'm concerned, advertising is something which has a real influence on people. Right. So here you are giving your opinion. You are not talking about the opinion of any other person. You're saying, as far as I am concerned, this is my point of view. This is how I see it. I really do believe that all these changes we are seeing in the weather will make life more difficult for us in the future. right, guys? So yes, this is something we can use to give our opinion. Then we have this: I'm afraid, I don't agree at all that the media has a positive role. Now, if you are disagreeing with something, you should not be very strong about it so that other person maybe gets offended. So try to use a polite language. I'm afraid I don't agree at all. You can say, I respect your point of view. However, I feel this is the scenario. This is how you can give your opinion. Okay. Now, how do we justify our opinion? I told you towards the beginning that you will be asked to justify your opinion also, right? You will be asked to, if you say something, then you have to justify it also. I think there is a global warming these days. Now this doesn't make sense. You will say why? Because people are using so many vehicles, and the pollution that the vehicles emit, it's hazardous. It's depleting the ozone layer, which in turn is raising the temperature, and that's why we are at this spot. Cool. So how do we do it? The most convincing reason for this is, given I think that the reason I think that's the case is that now this is these are certain keywords rather, okay, so that you can build up your answer on this if you want to justify the opinion. The most convincing reason for this is the second point you mentioned, I think, right? Given the number of people moving to cities these days, I think that problems in cities will naturally increase too. Right. So you're justifying your opinion. The reason I think that's the case is that there are more and more people who don't use cash. So I think it will become less important. Now, here, what do you think should be the question? As I see it, I think the question was, do you think the cash will become less important? So yes, you are not allowed to say I think the cash is going to become less important. Why? Because there are more and more people who don't use cash now. They get salary in their account, they get payment in their account, and it is easier. They use different digital uh, tools like Paytm, Google Pay, Beam, right, etc. So yes, if you want to justify your opinion, which is very important if a question is asking about your opinion, so that this is the way you can use it. Okay, cool. Someone is asking, Kinjal, can we use these words in writing? uh See, writing, I mean, all the formal words you can use in writing. There is all the formal words you can use in writing. But yes, there are various videos of ours on our YouTube channel. You can refer to uh, those videos, okay, if you want to get the vocabulary on writing. Okay, I think that would be better for you to use, because here I'm just especially targeting on speaking. Now, one very important tool, that is paraphrasing. How do we paraphrase? Can you all write down in the comment section, what do we mean by paraphrasing? What exactly do we mean by paraphrasing, guys? What do we mean by paraphrasing? This is the last step before we dive into the live question answer round, and before we practice a bit maybe with one or two questions. Restructuring, saying the same thing with different words. Good, Ritvika. Reconstructing the sentence without the meaning being affected. Good, Gayatri. Same thing, saying the same idea with different words. Hmm. Okay. Changing sentences without changing its meaning. Good, Mustafa. So I I get a lot of you have a good idea about paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is used when you want to uh, say the same thing again, but if you use same words, then your band will go down. So we need to do paraphrasing. So how we can do paraphrasing? Uh, Certain ways are here. Okay, there are certain ways that we all should know about, right? We can use synonyms. Okay, we can change the word formation. Look at this. Paraphrasing is a key skill in all of the speaking tests, but especially in part 3, as it helps you avoid repeating the same words as the examiner, right? We'll dive into that, don't worry. Here are certain ways we can paraphrase. Okay, look at this. We can use synonyms. Synonyms are words which have a similar meaning, though often not exactly the same meaning, right? Similar. For example, this is a triangle, this is also a triangle. Okay, they both are similar, they are not equal, they are not same. Anyway, in English, words like might, could, and may are synonyms in many contexts. Using synonyms is probably the easiest way to avoid repeating the same words as the examiner. Okay, now if an examiner asks you a question, do not take the same vocabulary which examiner has used. Okay. For example, if examiner says, what do you think might be the reason for that? Okay. So you can simply say one reason maybe, right? Don't say one reason might be. Do not just use the same vocabulary as the examiner. Talking about this in more detail, if examiner says this question to you, what are the important things that teenagers have to make decisions about? Now, instead of answering like the important things that teenagers have to make these decisions about are this, you can avoid repeating the keywords. So you can say it like this: there are lots of critical choices, right? There are lots of critical choices. So yes, whatever question, whatever vocabulary, whatever words examiner use, try to change those words in a natural way if you want to go and get 9 band, or rather if you want to cross 7.5 plus band. Cool. We have word formation also, right? Instead of using a different word as synonym, you could use a different form of a word. Okay, not always using synonym is the correct way. I mean, it can be, it is the correct way. I'm not saying it is wrong, but sometimes you can change the formation of a word. Let's see. Why do you think there are so many people who speak English in the world today? Who speak English? Now see how they have changed it to like this. I would say there is such a huge number of English speakers. So speak English, it was changed to English speakers, right? So this is another way you can use to uh, paraphrase. Yes, grammatical changes, right? We can change the grammar also, right? You can change a grammatical structure. Okay, for example, if the examiner says, do you think this situation is going to get worse in the future? So you could use a more complex structure to reply with something like this. Instead of simply saying, I think the situation is going to get worse in future, it means you are using the same word which examiner is using, which is not good, right? You have to demonstrate vocabulary. You just have 11 to 14 minutes to do that. I suspect it should improve actually, but I'm not 100% sure, right? So you don't have to answer by repeating the same structure the examiner uses. So you can say it like this: I don't think it's going to get worse in future, right? This is something you should not do. So the key here is to understand that we do not repeat the same words. Cool.
Yes, I
Now, what I'm going to do is, this is the last activity, right, before we end the class, right? Guys, I'm going to play the audio of two students speaking. Okay. uh, I want you to listen to student A and student B. Do not worry about what I have written in note. Okay. I want you to use whatever I have taught in the lesson today and tell me which student is a better speaker, student A or student B, right? Are we ready, guys? Are we ready to listen to student A? Can I play it? Can I play student A's audio so that we can figure out? Are we ready, guys? Okay. Let's listen to student A, what he has to say.
Yes, I think advertising influences what people buy because one, it's an option. People would get an option, and when you give someone an option, they would think and they would decide based on that option. And providing that will help or influence what your buyer would choose. And the other is perspective. You will be shaping what they should expect and what is out there for them to choose from and what they should think about that specific thing they want. And it's even like advertising also, it, in a way, is raising awareness about what you want. When you tell them that there is this and you should buy it or you should use the service, then they'd say, ah, I can. So it definitely does.
Okay. Now let's listen to student B. How does this student answer?
Yeah, it really influences what people buy because most of the people they don't have information about what out there. So the way you advertise really matters. Even you can bring something very bad in a good way so that the people can buy it. So it really influences the people.
Okay. Guys, now I want you to write down in the chat box which student is better and why. Not just the name of the student, but I want why. So a proper way of writing in the chat box would be student A or student B and because, your reason. Okay. Please write it down in the chat box. Okay. Speaker A was good at giving information. Speaker A made a long and complex sentences. Okay, made more explanation, good command over language. Explanation. Govind is saying B is clear and crisp information. Yes. So Govind, we do not just have to give clear and crisp information, because in part 3, examiner wants to know what is your opinion. Okay, so you have to develop your answer, right? If you do not give the, I'm not saying the answer of a student uh, B is wrong, but student A would get a higher band because student A has explained nicely. Because the whole purpose is to give your opinion in speaking part 3, or to speculate, right? A because Arjun is saying A is better because she provides clear and step-by-step explanation of how advertisement influences people into buying their products. Yes, it is coherent. Getting a lot of answers. Speaker A is better than B because he uses lexical resource to elaborate the given question to the examiner. Good, Shikar. Student A, I feel so because she elaborated the answer well. Student A is a winner because she has a good and lengthy explanation. Cool. Okay. I would say that student B has done really good in speaking because she used wide. Okay. Yes, Neeraj, I'm not saying the answer of student B is wrong, but based on how they assess in speaking part 3, we have to develop our answers. Okay, so yes, student A would get a higher band. Guys, now uh, we were talking about advertisements and everything. Now I'm going to ask a question, okay? And you have to write down the answer to that question in the same way I have taught, okay? In this today's class, I want to see how much we have learned. Are we ready, guys? Can I speak the question? Can I speak the question, guys? Will you send the answer in the chat? The way, exact way how we answer in speaking part 3. Okay. Okay. So the question is about the effect of films on society. Okay, the effect of films on society. And the question goes like this, which you have to answer in the exact way you are going to, uh, in the exact way you are going to do in the exam in the speaking part 3. Should filmmakers be responsible for the impact their films can have on people? I'm repeating the question. Should filmmakers be responsible for the impact their films can have on people? Let's write down the answer to this. Okay, guys, hit the button, hit the send button. Okay, Anvesha says, I think filmmakers definitely should take up the onus for the effect the film has on viewers and society at large. Films often portray strong opinions on social issues and shapes the decision making. Okay, directors and producers equally responsible for the impact. Okay, films are the mirror to the society. They influence the masses. They are trendsetters. I must say the celebrities are followed more than anything in India. Therefore, they are impact with advertisement. The thing I would like to say is to yes, of course, the film producers should think and make films in such a way that impact people. They should narrate the story in such a way that that influences audience. Okay, so if filmmakers are not cautious, it can lead to devastating effects with people protesting. Okay, while keeping in mind the importance of movies and their influence on the audience, I think the makers of film should understand, uh, should be responsible enough when coming out with a new movie. Okay, guys, guys, what kind of question is this? Is it asking you to speculate, predict, or analyze, or this question is asking about your opinion? What kind of question is this, guys? It is asking about the opinion. Okay, it is asking about the opinion. Okay, it's asking about opinion, right? Let's see. Let's see how I would have answered this question. Should filmmakers be responsible for the impact their films can have on people? I think we should not blame filmmakers for the effect their films have on people, because we see that sugar is legal. We can consume it as much as we want to, but it can kill us too. So I think as grown up adults, we should know how we should process things. We should be responsible for our actions, right? So this is my opinion. This is my sole opinion. This is what I just thought of, right?
Hello everyone. I think Mohammed sir got disconnected. He'll just join in a minute. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry guys, I think there was a technical glitch. uh, yeah, so this is how I would have answered, right? So guys, this is my opinion. This is solely my opinion, right? So when you are giving your opinion, you should give your opinion. Okay. Shivansh is asking, where is he? Shivansh, I'm here only. No, we should not say both yes and no, because you should give your opinion, right? What's your opinion? if it if you partially agree, then yes, I think you can develop onto that, but I think the better way would be to just uh, go on and elaborate, choose one side and give your opinion, because then you would be more clear in your head. Okay guys, I think that's the end of our YouTube live for today. Now I want you to write down in the chat box if you have any doubts. A lot of students are messaging me that, sir, give me writing tips, I stand on 4.5 band. So Piyush, we have a course that is starting from Monday. Okay, and we are going to share the link of that. You can enroll in that course. It is a 1 week course. I'm bringing it on the screen, just a second, so that you all know about the course. So this is the course that we have, right? It is a starting. If writing is bothering you, okay, you can get this course. Okay, this will be delivered by Diksha ma'am. She's a very good trainer. Okay, she has authorization from University of Cambridge, England, right? She has CELTA, and she's really a good trainer. She will be uh, guiding you through the writing section in just 1 week. Okay, and yes, if speaking is bothering you, then you can join me. Okay, with this person, I think, I hope it looks like me, because I have recently started working out. I was gaining a bit of weight. I was just getting worried. Okay, right. So you can there is a link in the chat box. Okay, you can enroll for this course. Yeah, this course is going to help you, right? And there are different parts of this. Okay, there would be daily live lectures for speaking. If you like this YouTube live, you will get to know, you must already be aware about of how I teach. So I'm going to deliver live lectures on speaking. I'm going to guide you so that you can cross 7 band, and there would be full length evaluation, okay, of speaking test. Okay, and there would be study material also provided by me for practice, and then access to grammar club. In grammar club, we teach basic grammar that is required for IELTS. Okay, and then in IELTS writing, okay, you will have daily live lectures again by Diksha ma'am, and she will evaluate your two writing tasks, task 1 plus task 2. She's going to give you material for practice also, and she will give access to grammar club also. Timings would be 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., and here 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, both of these courses you can buy uh, using the same link. Okay, and yes, this is a 1 week course, right? This is a 1 week course. So if you want to learn in 1 week about speaking and writing, then you can join us. And one more good news is that you don't have to pay 499 for this. It is on discount right now. You can buy it just for 299 rupees. Okay. So the course is, it's as it is written on the screen, it is going to start from 22nd February, right? Which is, I believe, just day after tomorrow. Raman, I said the word glitch, technical glitch. Okay. Yes, and speaking would be like this only. You would be there with us on Zoom. You would be able to turn on your camera. You would be able to see me, and it would be good. But I am no John Cena. You would be able to see me, but I'm not John Cena. Right. Guys, if you have any doubt, anything related to IELTS, please write it down in the chat box. I would be more than happy to answer any doubt that you have. Please feel free. Sir, are you going to take speaking test again? Yes, once you enroll for this course, I'm going to take your full speaking test. Why not? That's the part of your course, right? And once you purchase this course, Piyush, you will get everything on your email and message and WhatsApp also. We will guide you through that. Okay, there's nothing to worry. Everything would be there on your email. Okay. Anything else, guys, related to IELTS? Please feel free to ask. Anything related to IELTS, any general doubt, please fire it up. Come on, guys. Hmm, you have taken one time. I'm in mock batch. But you were gonna ask management for taking speaking test again. Mm, see, if it is a part of your course, Shivansh, then you can, then you will be given the chance. Why not? Right? I think your one chance is done as a part of your course. I'm not really sure. I'm going to check with the management. I'll get back to you. Farah is saying how to improve listening. See, the only way to improve listening is to improve more. One tip that I give to all of my students for listening is to read the instructions carefully. Also, for example, you are solving questions, question 1, question 2, and there are so many questions till the end, question 10. Okay, so one thing that you have to take care of in listening section is that if you are looking for the answer for question 1, at the same time you should know what is there in question 2, so that you do not miss the answer. Okay, because if you know question 2 is talking about water and question 1 is talking about oil, so if the audio suddenly changes to water, then you will know that you have missed the answer of question 1. So while solving question 1, you should be aware about question 2. While you're solving question 2, you should be aware about question 3, and the same process. Right? Arjun is asking, what is a good band score? Arjun, good band score depends on what you are applying for. Okay, but I think anything above 7 would do. But you have to contact the company or the college wherever you are applying for. So they have their criteria. So yes, you have to get in touch with wherever you are planning to go. And then for both speaking and writing, there is 299 rupees. No, speaking is 299 rupees separately, and writing is 299 rupees separately. Uh, Hi, Anjali. Good to see you again. Anjali got a very good band in speaking. Good to see old students also here. How to get a 8 band in speaking? Okay. So Arjun, I have done YouTube lives on all the speaking parts, part 1, part 2, part 3 now. Okay. Lots of videos are there on our YouTube channel also, right? You can check our YouTube channel. Also join this course. IELTS fast track speaking. I'm going to provide some material. I'm going to give you thorough feedback. Okay. We are going to help you cross 8 band. Practicing is the way to cross 8 band, but yes, with the right guidance. What are the major differences in language while using it in speaking and writing? Hussein, there are certain differences, like when we are writing, we are not allowed to use idiomatic language because writing is pretty formal. Okay, whereas in speaking we can use idioms because it is less formal than writing. So Farah is asking, you mean we must read the questions beforehand? uh, No, obviously you will read the questions before they play the audio. They give the time to read the questions, but while your test has started and they have played the audio, so at that time you should be aware about what question 2 is while you're solving question number 1, and then you should be aware about question 3 when you are solving question 2. Amrinder, do join the writing course. Diksha ma'am's videos are also there on YouTube. You can see her style of teaching. If you like that, then please come to us. We're going to help you. Any other question, guys? I was expecting more questions. Anything else that is bothering you guys? Nothing. So I guess yeah, that's it. We are going to end the session now. So I hope towards the end of the session you all are aware about how many kind of questions we have in part 3. um, what exactly are the questions. I gave certain examples, and then we covered uh, a full test recording, right? We saw an examiner and the candidate in the live exam. Okay, then we saw feedback, then we learned the language, right? Then we practiced also. So I hope this class was helpful for all of you. So thank you so much, guys, for staying tuned. This is Mohammad Shees, and I would be signing off now. Right? Please do share these videos, these lives with your friends who are preparing for IELTS, because we as Leap Scholar, we want to touch masses. Our aim is not to help 100 or 200 or 500 or 1000 students. We want to target millions of students. Okay, we want to change the lives of millions of students. So I hope you all will help us with that, because kindness, it costs nothing. Thank you so much, guys. Take care, all of you.